The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler, September 29th. Blessed Charles of Blois. This saint, belonging to one of the royal families of France, and who had the misfortune to spend 9 years as a prisoner in the Tower of London, came into the world at Blois in the year 1320. His father was Guy de Châtillon, Count of Blois, and his mother, Marguerite, was the sister of Philip VI, King of France. From his infancy, Charles showed that he possessed great natural virtues, a courage that was foolproof, and that he was wonderfully gifted to excel in the high dignity where he was born. In 1337, he married Joan of Brittany, and by that marriage, obtained for himself the Duchy of Brittany. But that title was disputed by John of Montfort, and, as was customary in those times, the quarrel turned into a feudal war that lasted throughout Charles's existence. The latter did everything in his power to restore concord, especially to alleviate the burden of war taxes that weighed on his subjects, and it is said that he even proposed to de Montfort to put an end to the matter once and for all, by a personal combat to the death between the two of them. But the adversary did not accept. After one of the innumerable battles, the forces of Charles de Blois took the city of Nantes, and the first measure that the Count adopted when he entered the conquered square was to distribute abundant relief among the poor and needy. He did the same in Rennes, Guingamp, and other cities. During his campaigns, he founded churches and religious houses, where he could pray for his cause and for the souls of those who had died in battle. As a rule, he behaved in such a manner that the least devout of his soldiers commented with his companions that the Count was destined rather to be a monk than a warrior. Barefoot and badly covered by a torn habit, he undertook a pilgrimage to the shrine of Saint Ivo at Tréguier, and when he laid siege to the town of Hennebon, he dispensed the soldiers from mounting guard to attend Mass. For this reason, one of the officers protested. "My lord," Charles replied, "we shall always have cities and castles to conquer. If they are taken from us, God will help us to take them back. Mass, too, we have it often, but it is impossible for us not to attend it." To tell the truth, Charles was as good a soldier as he was a good Christian, but he hated war. He had the support of the King of France, while his enemy, John of Montfort, had the help of King Edward II of England, who, for reasons known only to himself, had announced his firm intention to recover the property he had by legal inheritance in France. For 4 years, Charles was able to keep his enemies at bay, but in 1346, his retreats and misfortunes began. In the end, France was defeated by England at the Battle of Crécy. The city of Poitiers was sacked, and the city of Poitou was half destroyed. Almost immediately afterwards, Charles of Blois fought a furious battle at La Roche-Derrien near Tréguier, was defeated, captured, and put on a ship bound for England. Upon his arrival, he was imprisoned in the sinister Tower of London, and a fabulous sum was demanded for his ransom. As it was almost impossible to raise so much money, the Count spent 9 years in the infectious prison. As did so many prisoners in the Tower, before and after Charles of Blois, the latter made his punishment more bearable and even sanctified it by the patience with which he bore it and his constant prayers, his resignation, and the calm meekness he showed in the hardships. As soon as he obtained his freedom, he returned to France and continued in the armed struggle for another 9 years to defend his Duchy of Brittany, with periods of bad and good fortune, but acquiring always greater respect and admiration on the part of the people that he governed. He made another pilgrimage to the church of the Bonne Nouvelle in Rennes, and for a long time it was believed that this act of piety was intended to commemorate one of the hatalas he had won. But it was later proved that there was no other reason for the pilgrimage than the devotion of the heathen. The last armed encounter took place at Auray on September 29, 1364. The English forces were commanded by Sir John Chandos. The French, with Bertrand de Guesclin at their head, were defeated. De Guesclin was taken prisoner, and in the course of the bloody battle, Charles de Blois, the man who had always wished to be a Franciscan friar and not a prince, was left dead on the field. His remains were buried in Guingamp, and it was not long before rumors circulated insistently that numerous miracles were performed at his tomb. Despite the strong protests of John de Montfort, who feared he would lose the support of England if his rival was proclaimed a saint, a movement began in favor of the canonization of Charles de Blois. It is claimed that Pope Gregory XI went so far as to decree the canonization of Charles, but in the tumult and confusion of the Pope's departure from his exile in Avignon in 1376, the bull was neither signed nor issued. However, the people continued their worship of Blessed Charles, and in some parts a special feast was celebrated in his honor. Finally, in the year 1904, the ancient cult of Blessed Charles was confirmed by Pope St. Pius X.